Hello all. In continuation to what's new in 2022 release wave 1, today we'll talk about one new feature called Create Bank Deposit. Now, the ability to create bank deposit in Business Central 2022 release wave 1 is added for a lot of countries. In specific countries like United States, Canada, and Mexico, there were similar capabilities before this version, and customers in these regions can still use the old one if needed. But in future, the new bank deposit functionality will replace the old functionality. So as of now, for those reasons, it's kind of a toggle that they can set, and we'll talk about it. But why this, how it can be utilized? So by using bank deposit, the whole feature that's being developed, you can register deposit as a single document that post one or more entries on the bank account, and that you can decide when creating the document. So typically a bank deposit is, you know, registering the cash that you have received. That's available in the cash management rule center if you are set up as that in business as business center. Otherwise, you can always search for those. Now, amounts that come into bank come from several sources, like from sales, uh, or customer payment, or cash refunds from vendors, or if you're cashing from them. So bank deposit then have a similar architecture of a header line, as you see in most of the areas in business center, where you can define the header part, and then in the lines you can define the multiple sources that you are receiving money, which will then uh, get deposited on the bank. So before we talk about this more, let's open Business Central and see where it is. Once you open Business Central, as a, as I told you earlier, for some countries this was available previously, but now it's available for more countries. So for countries where the deposit functionality was available, for them they will be able to use the new one once their administrator toggle that feature from the feature management page, and the feature is tagged as a standardized bank reconciliation and deposit functionality. As I said, in future this will replace the old one where it existed on those local versions. So in quarter two of 2023, this will be the only functionality that you can use for the deposits, and the old one will be deprecated. So once you are here, like I'm not in one of those role center pages where this is already added as a menu, you can always search for bank deposits. Once you open the bank deposit, you can create a new bank deposit. You can view earlier ones, you can post them, and then there are some reports also. So if you are a customer who is upgrading from a previous version to 2022 release wave 1, you will have to set up number series for it, some other setups for it. So the number series for bank deposit is available into sales and receivable setup. Inside this, you will see a new tab added called bank deposit, where you can define the number series. And then there is one more option in there about post bank deposit at lump sum, which is disabled or turned off by default. So you'll understand what that is. You can turn it on if you think all your entries that you'll do will be post as lump sum. We'll talk about it in a while. If you want individual entries, then you let it off. And a user can decide while creating those entries, will it be a lump sum or not. So once you have set up the number series, you can search for bank deposits. And once you're on bank deposit, you can create a new one. So like any other typical uh, card list page or card subform page, you will see that there is a header section and then there is a line section. So let's do this. For this, you will also need to define a batch that's required for posting this. So you need to define that on your journal batches. If there are multiple batches available, the system will pop up a window before you try to post it. So hope that makes sense. Once you are here, you need to choose the bank account number for which you are creating the deposit for. Let's say savings in this case. Now, based on the bank account that you have chosen, uh, there are certain fields which get auto-populated, and we'll talk about it in a while. So once you are here, then you need to define the total deposit amount that you are trying to deposit. Now this should match to the sum of all the lines amount that you will be keying later. And the difference will auto calculate the difference that the line total have against the total deposit amount. Then there's a posting date. The posting date is set to be the work date by default. And then there is an option to post as lump sum. Now, based on this, it defines how many ledger entries will be created for you. So if you do a post as lump sum, all the lines that you will define below will end up with one bank account ledger entry. Now, based on your business processes, you might choose to do a lump sum or not, but if you do it that way, it helps you in the reconciliation. If that's one single lump sum entry on the bank that you have. So that's what happens on the sales and receivable setup. If you enable there on the setup, it automatically enables it here. Then these are your dimensions that you can choose from if you need that. So this defines all your dimension. And then the next field is currency code. So the currency code field will show you the currency of the bank account that you have chosen. And you'll not be able to change it. So if there is a currency attached to this bank account, which have not been set on my bank account, this will populate that currency code here. So that's more or less about the header section of the bank deposit. Now let's move to the lines. So once you are in the line, you can create a new line for each cash payment that you would like to deposit. In the account type field, there are various options: GL account, customer, vendor account, fixed assets, IC partner, and employees. So you can choose the right option here, and then based on that option that you have chosen, you can define the account number, which will in this case will be customer. The name will be auto populated from the customer card or from the master that you have chosen. The document date, what kind of entry it is it a payment or a refund that you are receiving from the vendor? And then what is the document number for this? Let's say DOC 001. And then what is the amount that you're talking about here? Let's say $100. So if you see right now, the balance amount should, the difference amount should be $900 here. So now let's create one more entry for vendor. And this time we will choose vendor. And then it's by default set as a refund. And that goes as 002. And let's say it's $900. Now, if you have to change dimensions, you can also do that from here on the lines tab. It will show you the line dimension as it does throughout in Business Central. If you have to apply those entries, you can do an application of those entries before they can actually get posted. You can do it from here. Let's see what other options are there. And more or less that's it. Now, once you are done that, you might want to test out with a test report before posting any document. So you can always go and do a test report print from here. This allows you to show the application if you have done any application. If you want to see the dimension, you have that filters available, and then you preview a report, which typically shows you one of the standard test report that's available on the similar fashion. Once you have seen that, once you have reviewed everything, once everything looks good, you can always go ahead and post it. As of today, there is no preview functionality available here, and I hope the test report will does that part if needed. for that matter, and then you can do a post. Once you do a post, it does create the ledger based on the lines that you have created. Like in this case, it should create a customer ledger entry and a vendor ledger entry, and surely a bank account ledger entry. And what you have noticed that as soon as the posting was done, it automatically populated a page called posted bank deposit, which means that any kind of bank deposit that you do going forward using this feature will have an historical data available to review it. So you can always come back and see what was done to have this entry being created. Once you're here, you can find the entries. You can see what bank account ledger entries were created, right? And then you can also print this if needed. So there is also a print report for bank deposit, which will show you what was deposit against what. Now that's more or less as of available as of today. But what's in plan? Let's understand that. So if you remember, Microsoft did release something similar for inventory in the previous releases, and there was a way to kind of reverse a posted document. That's still in queue for the bank deposit. And in one of the cumulative updates in future, Microsoft will extend that functionality to have a possibility to kind of reverse a posted bank deposit. As of today, if you have to do it, you'll have to go to the typical route of going to GL register and sorry, I should have chosen the page GL register. And from here, like this is the bank deposit entry that's created. You can always do the reverse of that entry if required. You can only reverse a register that contain a single type of entry. So if there are customer and or vendor entries, but not both, the register contain both, you must manually reverse the deposit. So right now, if you see, there will be customer ledger entry because we have chosen those. And then there will be a vendor ledger entry for the underline that we have created. So you'll have to reverse it manually if there are multiple entries as of today. But the plan is that in future, the bank deposit, posted bank deposit, will have a reverse functionality built in the product itself. So let me know how you will utilize this feature. Let me know if you need any more details that I haven't covered about the bank deposit here, or if I'm missing anything in the bigger picture of 2022 release wave 1. Do like the video and share, and please subscribe to the channel. And we'll see you next time with the next video. Thank you. Have a nice day.